This video is going to cover one of my favorite topics, how to start a staffing agency, or if you're already in business, how to add staffing to your business and why. But first, before we dig in, hit subscribe and make sure that you're subscribing to my YouTube channel for business tips about small businesses, entrepreneurship, staffing, and more. So thanks for being here. So glad you're on this journey with me. So glad you're inviting me on this journey with you, I should say. So let's dig into how to start staffing. But first, let's talk about why. Why do you want to build a staffing agency? Why would you do that? Okay, so for me, my name is Diane Prince. I built a business. I built my first staffing agency because I had the vision of building something that I could sell and retire in my 30s. I was in my 20s when I started my first staffing agency. And the idea first was I was with my then husband and we were talking about, we were in our 20s or mid 20s, and we were talking about what could we do so that we could work together and build something so that we could maybe even retire. We had no experience in entrepreneurship, and the only experience we had in temp staffing was that I temped. I used to temp in college and grad school. My first temp assignment in London, and I temped all around London when I was 19. It was fantastic. So that's really all the experience we had. But we knew this was the kind of business that you could really scale and that it had a lot of exit potential. There are a lot of exits in staffing. To understand staffing too, it's important to understand why clients use staffing. Okay, why did companies choose temp staffing over full-time hires? And I'll tell you why. There's some different reasons. One is budget buckets. Sometimes companies don't have the budget, like the official budget, to hire in certain areas, but they can get temps or contractors approved faster than full-time employees. So if they need something to solve pretty quickly, they can often get temps onboarded or contractors onboarded before full-time employees. Another one is sometimes it's project-based needs. I had one client who was building I don't know if I'll say, well, yeah, why not? It was Allied Universal, and they were building out a specific project. Don't everyone go calling them now because this project is done, but they were building out a project to rewrite the software. They're a security guard company, and they were they had a giant project to rewrite their scheduling for their security guards, their scheduling app, and it turned out to be about a $5 million contract. So that was an example of project-based needs. It was a high-level project. I mean, I even had the candidate that we had a candidate. The way I got into that contract is that we had a candidate who'd rejected our offer. He accepted the offer at Allied through a different agency. That's a whole other story. So we got their business, but he actually accepted this contract role over a full-time job because he was so interested in the work that he got to do and managing this whole project. That was very exciting for him. So if you're thinking that sometimes that people don't want they want full-time over contract, that's not always the case. Okay, so let's talk more on other reasons why clients use staffing. Another one is the temp to hire or contract to hire strategy. Testing people out, seeing how they fit, seeing how they perform before hiring them officially or hiring them full time. So that is called temp to hire or contract to hire. That is beautiful. I love temp to hire because a lot of times clients will bring your people on, and a lot of times they keep them on for quite a long time as temps, which is pretty awesome. Okay, sometimes it's overflow support, maternity leave, things like that. So there's a lot of different reasons why people use staffing. So these are just a few reasons why they do. So what do you want to do first when you're setting up staffing? Okay, so you need to set up the proper payroll and back office systems. Now, I will tell you, when I first started, I placed my first temp without knowing any of this, and I had to build it as I had a week before I had to pay that person to put it together. So don't do that. But I mean, it works. So, if you do it. But anyway, but you want to set up your proper payroll and back office systems. A lot of people think that you can't get into staffing if you don't have the money to fund your payroll. That is not true. You can get set up with what is called an employer of record, specific for staffing businesses to help people start. They help people start staffing businesses. And if you're interested, put it in the comments or and we'll message. Actually, we'll put in the notes the link. So if you're interested in being introduced to the right EOR, because there's different ones that do different things and different kinds of niches. So, but what an EOR does is they will handle all of the payroll, all of the compliance, all of the back office. Most of them will even fund your payroll, where you can still make a significant profit and you can make a lot of money. Even just as a solopreneur, you can do this and you can get completely set up and have a world-class back office. So don't be afraid of most people don't know that. So don't be afraid. If you get anything out of this video, know that there are people out there easily that you can just say, hey, I've got a temp I need to put on contract, and they'll get you set up. Okay. So let me know if you need an introduction. And okay, so you want to also nail your compliance, workers' comp, timesheets, invoicing, virtual timesheets. Those also can be handled. Those would also all be handled by your EOR. Okay, and then start with one niche, start with one client or one niche. I've got a bunch of content on how to sell staffing, so that's not what we're going to necessarily talk about in this video, but you want to niche down. We'll put links in this video too for more information on how to choose your niche. And then you can do some calculations based on what your bill rates and pay rates will be, so that you can have an idea of the margins and markups that you're looking for. I'm going to give you an example. So say, just to simplify it, say you're paying a contractor $100 an hour, and your cost of that person once you have payroll taxes would be probably $121 an hour, and say you charge $60 an hour. So what is that? Is that 59, 49, $39 an hour? So you can do the math, and that will be passive income once you place that person. Okay. So I have more content on how to price and how to talk about and how to sell staffing. But you want to have your idea of markups early on. And typically when you talk to clients about staffing, you don't usually talk in terms of markups like you would if you're used to doing direct hire recruiting. You talk about bill rates, and then you have some room to negotiate with your pay rates. Okay. And then things to skip for now. Don't scale too fast. Well, I don't know. That's in my notes, but I like to scale fast. I don't know. They're telling me to tell you that slow is strategic, but I don't know. I like to go fast, so I can't really even say that with a straight face. Okay, but tighten your niche. You can take on other roles that are outside of your niche, but if you start with a niche, my niche was title insurance, people. If you start with a tight niche, everything is so much easier. You can become an expert. You can get clients so much more easily. So start with a niche, and skip hiring an internal team before revenue justifies it. You can get so much done with offshore talent. You can get so much done in other ways with automation. So don't think that right away you need a recruiter with a lot of experience. You don't. You need a lot of drive and grit and curiosity, and you'll get there. And if you need if you need support, like if you need help finding candidates or things like that, I have a whole ops team. I staffing businesses with virtual assistants offshore that can help you with all this stuff too. So if you want done for you, just let me know. Okay. And then let's talk about, so staffing, we're just talking about why staffing gives you recurring revenue. That's why I started my staffing business. I knew that we could have recurring revenue, and then we could exit so that we could get that retirement. Other recruiting models do not have the multiples that staffing does. Staffing creates recurring revenue because your people are actually working. They're actually, the business sometimes can't function without your people. It's a lot harder for businesses to do like internal temps. They can get in a lot of trouble for misclassification. So they typically use an agency for those things. And you can also do direct hire if you want those big fat perm fees, you can always still do that. But with contracting, you're going to have less feast or famine. It's much more predictable income. And even if you're not going to exit, you probably want to build a business that has some consistent recurring revenue for you and your peace of mind. Okay. And so if you're thinking about adding staffing, thinking about doing staffing, feel free to reach out. I help people build staffing agencies. You can meet my A team. That's the team that we can set up for you to help you, to give you back office support and do it for you. And don't forget to download the staffing startup checklist that is going to be in the notes. And so staffing, just in conclusion, staffing is a big opportunity if you do it right with the right moves. But don't worry about too much. Do it, even if you do it wrong, just do it, and you'll figure it out. Try to honestly, my notes again say avoid rookie mistakes, but there's no avoiding rookie mistakes. watch the content as much as you can. Watch some of my content, and I've got you. I'm going to try to help you the best I can and walk you through this journey. It is such a it can be such a lucrative and rewarding field, and it's a really solid business. So we'll connect with me. You can explore working with me in different ways. Just look at the links out there. So in summary, staffing, recurring revenue, not as difficult as most people think. There are complications depending on what kind of roles you do, but it can be really worth it, and highly recommend it. So connect with me, reach out, and let me know what you need help with. Okay, I'm Diane Prince, and thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe.